Today on Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner Cooking, we are going to be making a blueberry pie with a wove top. So I wanted to teach you that. So here we go. First of all, we're going to make the crust. And I'm going to make a lot of crust because I can always freeze it and I did drink a regular Coke for lunch, so I might be a little more shaky. Sorry. My girlfriend Cheryl's in town and she took me to lunch and we had a nice time. And this is lard, a cup of lard. So I got 3 cups of flour and 1 cup of lard. You know me, I like my lard crust. And then I'm going to take a teaspoon of salt. Put that in there. And then I'm just going to go to it. Don't be afraid of crust. There is nothing to crust. Just got to get your hands in there and do it. Yeah, we were just at Walmart and bought some nice fresh blueberries. I got 2 containers of 1 pound, 2 ounce. So 2 18-ounce, I guess, containers of blueberries. I like a nice full pie. And you're gonna like learning how to do a woven top. There's really nothing to that either. You just gotta really work that. I like a lard crust because it just makes a flakier crust. And it tastes really good. You know, a lot of times shortening is hard to digest. And this isn't as hard to digest. I guess Kennedy's trying to get all these trans fats and all that out of our food. So, but I do like shortening for some cookies. So I guess you can't win. And I was told that you guys can't hear me all the time, and I apologize for that. I am going to try to get myself a little microphone, but I just don't want the microphone to be going and ruin my video. That's why I haven't done it yet. But all right, this crust is getting kind of where I need it to be. You want it to turn into little fine granules. You want it to all be incorporated into the flour. And my lard was at room temperature. I'll try to talk into the microphone a little bit louder for you. And today at 3:30, I am going to be sponsored by another YouTube channel, and they're going to promote my channel for me to help me get more subscribers and more viewers. So that makes me really happy. Okay, so we got it right about where I want it to be. And now we're going to add a little water on this side. I like to do like 3 sides of water. 2. You want more water than less water because you don't want it to be dry. Then it will not roll for you. A little bit more. You want it to go into a nice ball. See how that came together? That's all there is to crust. And it tastes so much better than the other stuff. Okay, the reason I made so much crust is because I'm doing the woven top. Okay, now I'm gonna get some flour out. Move my stuff out of the way. Get my rolling pin. And I'm gonna take a little bit more than half my crust, because you always want your bottom crust to be bigger than your top crust. And I'm doing the wove top, so I'm not even going to need that much. So here we go. A little bit on my board there. And roll it out. Try to get it as much into a circle as you can. You don't want it too thick because then it's doughy, and you don't want it too thin because you want it to hold the fruit, you know. I think that looks about right. Let me see. Yeah, maybe a little thinner. Don't want a doughy pie crust, that's for sure. Then what you do is you roll it into a quarter, and you put 1/4 in your pie plate, the other quarter, and you can, you know, if you get your pie crust pliable enough, you can move it where you need it to be. Then, I guess I'll roll out this other crust and show you how to cut it. And I am going to use the same bowl for my blueberries. Okay. And I just kind of go like that. I've made pies my whole life, and I've learned a lot about it. One time when I first got married, I made these pecan pies, and I took them to my family party, and all the crust was burnt, and they called it the honeymoon pecan pie. But I've learned since then that you cannot have any pie crust hanging over the pie plate because it comes up and then it burns. So now I'm going to cut this into some strips. You don't want it, I'm going to change knives. You don't want it to be, yeah, that's much better. Thank you, Tom, for the knives. You just cut it into strips, not too thin and not too thick. It's always better to have more pie crust than less pie crust, because you can always make the cinnamon and sugar crust for the kids. I'm not pushing hard, so I'm not ruining my countertop. Okay. Now, rinse my hands off. And I'm going to bring you over here to my blueberries. I've got them all rinsed off. I think I am going to put a little paper towel in the bowl just to make sure that it absorbs some of the extra water. And, you know, of course, roll them around and make sure that you can see the bad ones if there are any. These looked pretty fresh. So what I'm going to do, I'll set this off to the side for a minute. And I'm going to take, with the blueberries, and I'm going to add take the paper towel out. That might help. You just don't want a watery pie. But look at those blueberries. They're so pretty. So I'm going to add 1/4 cup of flour to these. It says to use about 5 cups of blueberries, but I like a full pie, so I'm gonna add maybe a 1/3 cup of flour. And you know what? Just as a backup plan, I like to add a little bit of cornstarch too. Because you don't want it to be like Ellie Mae Clampett pie. And now I'm blocking the whole thing, I'm sorry. And then I'm gonna add about a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. That should be good. And I'm gonna add, I'm going to add a cup of sugar because I got a lot of blueberries here. Just white sugar. And then a couple of tablespoons of lemon juice. That should be good. And then I'm going to stir that around. Get that all incorporated into those blueberries. I like to stir my fruit until it kind of seems like they're getting wet a little bit, so that all the flour and sugar coats them. All right, that should work. Now I'm going to move you back over to my other side here. And keep moving the light with me so you can see what I'm doing. And I am going to dump all these blueberries into my pie plate. It's going to be a nice full pie. I love that. Look at that. Yum, yum. Okay. Now I'm going to take a stick of butter. Oh, you didn't see me dump them in the pie plate. I'm so sorry. There. Now you can see it. Okay, I'm going to take this stick of butter. You can't go wrong with butter. And this is salted butter. And I'm going to just cut that to little patties and put that all over the top. I don't think I'm going to use the whole stick. Let's see what we got here. That should be good. And one more for good measure. And then what you do is you take your strips, you go one way, then you go the other way. And then you go over the two and you just weave it. And now I'm going to lift this one up and put that one in there. You just weave it. It's so easy. And then I'm lifting the middle one up again. And I'm going to go this way and I'm going to lift the middle one up. You just want to make it, you know, the opposite, whatever the opposite is. I'm going to lift those two up. Nope, that's not right. I'm going to lift the middle one up on this one. You just want to make it so it's woven, you know? Now I'm going to lift these two up. It didn't look too pretty. Okay, now I'm going to go over these two. And then I'm going to lift the middle one up again. Kind of move it around so it's the prettiest part of the weave. See, now I used 3 cups here, and I'm sure glad that I did because I needed every bit of this. And that should do it for that. Then what you do is just take your pie crust. Make sure that I got you so you can see what I'm doing. Take your pie crust, just like gently though, and be moving it around and roll it up so that nothing drips out. Tuck in your getaway blueberries and straighten it up so it looks pretty. And you just keep, oh, I need one more here. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to lift these 2 up. I turned the pie around and I didn't realize. Oh my goodness, I'm falling down on the job here. Okay. Oh my gosh, the other side needs it too. Sorry, I'm supposed to be demonstrating and I'm not doing that great of a job. All right. And like I said, no crust has to be absolutely perfect. That's what makes it look homemade. And one more. Boy, I'm so glad I had extra. Okay. And then you just lift it up again. Every other one until it looks pretty. There. And just kind of arrange it a little bit. I guess this one needs one more too. See, it's not even that hard. Now, cut off your extra if you have way too much here because you don't want it to be too big. And then just roll it all up like that. And this is going to go into a 425 oven for about 40 to 50 minutes. And the way that you know it's done is that you'll see the blueberry juice bubbling out of the pie crust. And be gentle with your pie crust because you don't want to make it tough. And just roll it up like that. These crusts on the edge is what keeps your fruit juice from going all over the oven. Isn't it going to be pretty? Then what you do is you want to press on the inside of this pie like this so that it doesn't fall over on you. Press in to the pie plate. And make sure nothing is hanging over the pie plate because that's when it gets burnt. And then just take your 2 fingers and go like this all the way around. Easy peasy. It really is so easy to make pie crust. The only trouble is people don't put enough water. If you don't put enough water, it doesn't turn into a nice dough. And because if it's dry, it just all cracks apart when you're trying to roll it. Look at how pretty that is. Now, was that so tough? No, it wasn't. So I'm just making sure it's all inside the pie plate so I don't get any burnt parts. And I will see you in about 40 to 50 minutes. Okay, I'm getting it out of the oven. Look at that beautiful, beautiful pie. See how it's all bubbling around the edges? That's what you want. That is a true test that it's done. And nothing's burnt because it was all tucked in to the pie. And I'm going to let that settle, and probably for at least an hour. And then we'll cut it and I'll be back with you. It's cooled off and we're gonna cut it and show you what we got. All right. Looks like I needed to put a little bit more cornstarch and flour. Looks a little watery. If you make this and you double up the berries like I did, just add a little bit more flour and a little bit more cornstarch. But it still looks really pretty. Look at that pretty pie. We're going to get some ice cream, Cheryl and I, and we're going to enjoy a wonderful dessert. And thanks so much for watching. And remember, there's nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it. And love the Lord with all your heart. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.